So our next speaker will be Katie Jost, the Program Director of the Council of American Overseas Research Centers.
Hi, well, thank you for having me, and just bear with me while I share my screen and pull up my presentation. Okay, here we go. So I work at the Council of American Overseas Research Centers, and it's a nonprofit based here in Washington, D.C. And we have a network of 25 overseas research centers around the world. And our centers are located in the MENA region, West Africa, Europe, Asia, Latin America. So it's pretty expansive. And each center is its own nonprofit and has their own programming as well as various kinds of opportunities. And so one of the things I wanted to talk to you all about is that these centers are a great resource, especially for people who have an interest in foreign languages. And many of these centers work in places that are relevant languages in terms of what the University of Wisconsin-Madison has to offer. And in fact, actually one of our centers is their US office, the American Institute of Pakistan Studies, is located in University of Wisconsin-Madison. So you may be familiar with some of our centers already. And most of the centers have both a US office and an overseas office. And in terms of the overseas locations, they have libraries, archives, they have places where they teach courses, where people can carry out research. And often they'll have in their libraries and archives all sorts of resources related to languages. So it's something to keep in mind as you go through your career, and especially if you have an interest in pursuing an academic career. It's a really fantastic resource. And I often see jobs that come up periodically at these centers of different levels. It can be anything from a program assistant to a program manager, a more academic type of role. And more often than not, they do have a language requirement. So if you're studying these less commonly taught languages, you would have quite a good advantage in terms of applying for these types of roles. And so I wanted to mention that. And I do try to share jobs that come up, especially on our LinkedIn page and social media in general. So it's something to keep an eye on. The jobs don't come up very often, but periodically they do. So please watch out for that. And also some of these centers teach languages such as Mongolian, or we have a center in Myanmar that's going to start offering language courses. So you also might have an interest in that as well. And I should also mention that our centers work with endangered languages. So for example, our center in Mexico, they do quite a bit of programming with Smithsonian's Recovering Voices, and they look at things like documenting and transcribing endangered languages in Latin America. And actually, we've just recently awarded one of our fellows who's going to be going to Indonesia to record and document one of the local languages there. So that's another area that many of our centers work in. In terms of some concrete opportunities that we're currently accepting applications for, we do have a fellowship program, and actually our multi-country research fellowship is just about to open up and accept applications. It'll be opening on August 18th with the deadline of November 16. And this is a great program if you are currently finishing up a PhD or if you already have a PhD. This is funded by the US State Department through ECA. And it's essentially a travel grant that allows fellows to travel among our different centers in the network and also go to other countries. So it's quite flexible, and it's great if you're doing comparative research or trans-regional research. It's also particularly good for early career scholars. Many people have said that this has helped kickstart a larger research project, or it's helped them land a job in terms of their academic careers. So it's a great opportunity. And to be eligible, you need to be a US citizen, and you need to either have your PhD already or be all but dissertation. and each award is $11,500. And as I mentioned, it's quite a flexible program, so you can go on multiple trips at different times. And it's a great way to get to know our network of research centers. I also wanted to briefly mention our faculty development seminars. I mean, depending on where you go with your careers, this is also another program that we offer. And this is available to US faculty at community colleges and minority serving institutions. And it's fully funded 2-week seminars to countries that some of our centers work in. So right now we're currently accepting applications for seminars to Senegal, India, and Mexico. And they're very much immersive experiences where you spend 2 weeks in country, attend different talks, go on excursions, and meet other people with similar interests. So I wanted to briefly mention this one because it's also quite an interesting opportunity. But more generally, all of our centers have different types of opportunities like workshops or these sorts of trips, or even things like virtual lectures that you can attend. So it's definitely a great network to keep in mind as you progress through your career. And I think that we calculated at one point that there's something like an over 150 grant and fellowship programs that both we at CAORC and the centers offer. Most tend to be geared towards the PhD level, but there are some for graduate students. There are a few opportunities for undergrad students. I know our center in Greece and also one in Jerusalem, they offer these sorts of trips where you can go and do sort of almost like a summer school type of experience. So there's really quite a diverse range. And very brief, so I wanted to also share our contact information. As I said, we do try to post a lot of different grant opportunities and social and different jobs or things that can pop up on social media and likewise on our website. So please feel free to get in touch. And if you have any specific questions about the centers or about CAORC, I'd be happy to answer them.